Good morning, everybody. I thought I would do an update on our progress with the odd rod this year. Not really a video I want to be making because of where we're at in the process. We are 3 weeks away from having to be loaded and ready to go to the first race, and we do not have an engine. As you can see, we're still quite disassembled and trying to get this engine ready to go back in. And as most people have realized, with the COVID and crazy winter weather, getting parts is difficult, getting work done is difficult, and we're dealing with our share of it, plus the fact that we run a Ford and an odd Ford at that. It just makes it that much more difficult. So right now, what you're looking at, we picked up this block and heads from the machine shop earlier in the week. Let me back up. Basically what we've done, this is the same engine we ran in 2020, and what we've done this year, we've done some cutting on the block and the heads, raising the compression about 2.5 points. We've done quite a bit of cylinder head porting, done some port filling and reshaping, both on the heads and the intake. And so we got all that done, and the heads went, and they got machined on a couple surfaces, fresh valve job, all the springs checked. Block got honed and cut in on a couple surfaces, and everything else checked and washed. So that's all ready to just do a final cleaning and start assembling. Spent most of the day yesterday over at a friend's house on the Bridgeport. Getting the intake fitted, because when you start cutting block and heads, and you've also got to get your intake cut and fitted. So I think we finally got that. We've got just a little bit of gap underneath. Yeah, you can see a little light right there, front and back, for silicone, and got a nice fit on the sides of the intake. So I think we're okay there. Today I've got to finish. Let's see if I can get a light down in here where you can see it. Okay, you can kind of see what we're after here. The bottom of that intake, that's epoxy, and it's got to be finished out in every cylinder today. Things are matching up pretty well, and then of course there was some filling done down in the intake too, where these ports were just a little too big for this setup. So that's going to increase our intake port velocity, hopefully help with torque. And I am currently waiting on a FedEx shipment for intake gaskets. We have to custom modify intake gaskets for this setup, so I've ordered quite a few different ones, and it's just taking forever to get stuff. I mean, we literally, even rod bearings for this motor were on nationwide back order, and we're talking about a small block Ford Windsor, but the rod bearings we were using from Clevite were on nationwide back order. We finally found a place in Georgia that had 8 on the shelf about a week ago and got those in here. I'm still waiting on rocker arms. It's been 5 weeks on those. They're lost somewhere in shipping, I guess, because they were shipped 2 weeks ago. So we've got to start chasing those down next week. Got everything else here ready to start doing engine assembly this weekend. And once we get this intake work finished, we can go ahead and do final cleaning and start assembling. I've got rings to file and all that time-consuming stuff to do. And then when we get rocker arms, that's got to be mocked up, and then I've got to order push rods. So that's another situation where you make a phone call and they'll probably say, well, we're 3 weeks out, or I don't know. I'm hoping usually that's just a couple days to get push rods done. So hopefully we'll be able to come up with those, but we're definitely cutting it close on time, and I know we're not the only ones in SEGA that are dealing with some of these type things. So that's where we're at. In our time when we were waiting on some machine work, we did do a little work on our hauler. It needs a good bath, but we did change our rear end gear. Went from a 410 to a 373. I think that's going to work out a lot better for the amount of hauling that we do. And so far it feels good. We've been driving it some to get it broke in, and so anyway, race season is coming. Thankfully the weather's starting to get better. We've had a couple beautiful spring days here in Tennessee, and we're going to try to take advantage of it and continue working on this project. Okay, I spent about 2 hours this morning finishing out the intake ports, and as you can see, the lower port floors have been epoxy filled, so we had all of that to blend so that it matches the heads. And then you can see where the head port floors have been filled. And since I started the video, the FedEx man arrived and brought 3 more different sets of gaskets. And I think this set right here is going to work. Got them trimmed up a little, had to trim around a few bolt holes and scoot them and open up the water ports, since it's a Boss 302 and not a 351 Cleveland. And once they scoot, what we'll do, we'll glue them in place before we set the heads on, get the ports lined up. But I've bolted the intake on, and everything fits good. You can look right down through the ports straight to the valves, so it should flow. Maybe just a little more tweaking on these, but I believe we'll be good to go. So anyway, that's where we're at. We finished all that messy work now. We can go ahead and take these heads back off and start final cleaning and assembling the bottom end. And all the rings are filed and fitted. That's another 2 hours of my life I can't get back. So we're now ready to do a final washing on the block, put the rings on the pistons, and begin lower assembly. Okay, we're back out here working on assembling this motor for the odd rod, and Ben Shaw decided this week that Dad wasn't going to be enough to make this thing run, so he's brought in the big guns today. We've got 2020 SEGA Superstock World Champion Mark Hackett in the house, and if anybody makes small block forward run, Mark can. So Ben said I need to stay behind the camera, and him and Mark he would take care of this and get this thing to run. So this is where we're at. And while we got Mark here, I guess we ought to get a few words. Mark, why are you over here today instead of at your shop working on mercury poison? I mean, it's only 3 weeks till Holt, Florida, and everybody I know of is scrambling trying to get their cars ready, and you're over here working on ours. So what's up with mercury poison?
Well, amazingly enough, we've got it ready to go test, and was actually planning to test this weekend, but with the weather here in Middle Tennessee's more suited for ducks than it is for race cars, so we decided to come over here and help Kevin out today and get him moved along on down the road a little bit. So that's what we're doing today, is trying to get it put together.
Well, so there you got it, folks. What I heard in that conversation was mercury poison's ready and confident, and y'all better get your stuff together, because 2021 is going to be, it's just going to be a tough season if you're going to get ahead of that mercury. So
3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today, Holt, Florida. All right, I got to let him get back to work, or this motor will never get put together. Okay, we got the bottom end assembled today. And that's as far as we can go until I get some, well, we got a couple little things we can put on, but we need rocker arms so we can put heads on and mock up the valve train and clay the pistons for valve relief and all that. So I've got to get busy next week and see if I can find out where our rocker arms are that we've been waiting 5 weeks for. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video and post it, and then we'll pick back up after we get engine finished and start putting it back in the odd rod. So thanks for watching.